Elliott O'Connor and Big Billy Clark, it's a pleasure to meet you both and welcome to the Singing Teachers Talk podcast. Billy, how is it going?
I'm amazing. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm kind of jealous of your LA weather though, because just looking at us on screen, I'm so pale compared to you.
This this is just lighting. This is just let me see if I can change this.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, you still look.
it is, but
I'm.
you
Really
still,
tan.
yeah.
There you
Billy always has a lovely glow to him. So
go.
It may feel like to some of us that the music industry is like finding platform nine and three quarters to get to Hogwarts. Like some of us are rushing at that brick wall and we're feeling the impact, whereas others are getting through and feeling the magic spot. So, Elliot, why can the music industry appear so mystifying to muddles like me?
it's like I do like. Why is it mystifying? I think to me one of the things that I love about it is like there actually is no like one course, right? And sometimes there is no rhyme or reason to why it works and why it doesn't. I think so when it does, you're just like trying to hold on to this, like as you put it, you're sort of like discovered this magic because I can speak for Billy probably too, but we've met way more artists that are so talented that haven't made it than that have, right? And whatever making it is for you, but to me it's an amazing thing when you can see it's timing, it's the person's ability, it's the work they're putting into it. It's like all of these things, the stars really do have to align for you to have your like even opportunity to then pass through, even to get on that like at the train station, right? Forget even getting into the nine and three quarters. Like even to get to the train station, you've had to have gotten through a lot because the numbers are so high of these people that have sought out to have the idea that, oh, I'm going to do this. And then that dwindles down into like, okay, maybe you have an opportunity. Then that dwindles down again to like actually go out and do it. So yeah, it's an amazing thing. I don't know if you can quantify it though, in my opinion.
Hmm. It's not often that we really see the process of an artist working their way into the music industry. It almost seems like you turn on the radio and then there's a new person there, and then they're this household name that feels like they've been there forever. So, Billy, how can singers and singing teachers as well get a true understanding of what it's really like to graft as an artist?
That's a good question for me because I spent most of my career at record labels doing A&R, and A&R stands for artist and repertoire. And the A&Rs and all the labels are the ones that kind of discover talent or find talent for the label. And one of the big things that I'm always been passionate about, as well as Elliot, is artist development. And I think that there's a lack of that now with the major label systems, and so that's the reason why artists are forced to do everything themselves. And so I think that a lot of times you watch some of these award shows and you see artists win best new artist, for example, right? But you don't realize that 10, 15 years before that, they were putting out music and working, So there's a lot of work that needs to be done for every artist, trying to find their sound, their niche, their songwriting ability. And that takes a long time, So a lot of times, when an artist does have a song that breaks out, it's like, oh, now the world knows who that person is. But there was a lot of years of them working where people didn't really know who they were, and they probably put out 10, 15, 20 projects or songs leading up to that moment. But, they finally kind of broke through that wall.
Mm.
And also too, like, if the label is doing their job, it does make it feel like this person came out of nowhere, right? And all of a sudden they're everywhere.
Mm.
And as you put it, they're a household name, but that's just if, these companies are doing the job really well, where it feels like it just sort of happened organically, when in reality, it's not just the artist's hard work, but a team of people spending a lot of time and resources to make it feel that way. Because no one wants to feel like they were pushed on them, right? Like an artist, you want to feel like you discovered them organically and you made the decision that you like them or not.
Mm.
So, like Billy said, it's like there's so much work for years. Or if it does happen to, you know, if it does happen fast, I'm not sure if we've seen longevity come from that either. They've had a real quick moment due to whatever, social media acclaim or a moment on visibility for something, and they're consumed really fast. But because they didn't develop, like said, me and Billy are really, really, we love like working on things and trying to really craft this person, this artist that is also going to be a product. It's like building a house, right? And so we want to be able to really spend the time to build the house before the world sees it, because you're going to be able to get a lot more for it in the end.
And Billy, what do you say to artists who are really attracted to the music industry because of the idea of fame? And how can we best help a singer to kind of reorganize their priorities a little bit and work realistically without losing their motivation?
It's very common, unfortunately, but I think that, people look at the music industry, do videos and they see this lifestyle that's not always realistic, and that's the catalyst to want them to do music and be successful because they want the fame. But at the end of the day, Elliott and I always preach to each other and to artists that, like, no matter who you are as an artist, stay true to who you are and what you want to do. There's so many artists that will change their sound to do what's now and what's current and what everyone's kind of, listening to. But everything always comes full circle. So you can't do that because, unfortunately, the consumers aren't stupid, and they can see when something is not genuine. And I think that, or authentic. I think that, there's an artist that I work with now that comes off extremely authentic because she really is authentic. It's who she is and how she speaks and how she deals with situations. And I think that, like, that authenticity is what's kind of really pushed her into this whole other stratosphere of being an artist, because people can see when you're trying too hard to be famous for the wrong reasons, and there has to be talent there, and there has to be something special that connects you with others, and I think that, unfortunately, if you're chasing it for the fame, it's going to be very short-lived.
Fame is a byproduct of the results of hopefully you succeeding as an artist. And also, I'm not sure if I know anybody that has fame that genuinely truly enjoys it.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds and seems horrific to be famous.
It sounds incredibly horrific, actually. Like, to me and Billy, again, there's been around people where you just go, I would go nuts if this was the case for me. They enjoy the perks of some of the things, obviously, like you
Yeah.
understand how privileged and those situations can be, but also, I mean, it's a lot. There's a reason why they don't want that. Once they're there, you realize, oh, this isn't what I wanted at all. So if you truly didn't love being an artist, you won't want to. I mean, again, you think that it's something, like Billy said. You think that the illusion is something, and then when you're there, it's completely not that anymore.
Yeah.
Yes, I saw this interview the other day with Billie Eilish that, you know, I mean, obviously, she's done amazing for herself, and she's, this amazing, huge artist. I don't ever get a chance to really hear her talk about her life and what makes her tick and all these different things, right? She was doing an interview and she really opened up about, saying all I ever wanted to do was do music.
Mm.
You know, I was gonna cuss. Sorry.
You can. Fuck it. Do it. It's
Okay.
fine.
Okay.
Fuck
She,
it.
so she was basically saying, you know, all I ever wanted to do was music. Like, fuck, everybody wanted to know what I'm doing, what I'm wearing, why my hair is this color, all these different things.
Yeah.
And so it was very powerful for me to hear her and watch her really be vulnerable and discuss that, because I was like, I never really knew where she stood on all of this stuff. And it was very like, I got into music because I love music. I love
Mm.
writing, I love singing. Fuck all the other shit that comes along with it. Like, it's such a fucking pain in the ass for me to get put on blast or under a microscope because of
Yeah.
this. I said that. I was with this person. I was with that person. So it made me feel so much more relatable to her. And I watched the interview and I was like, fuck yeah,
I
because I mean,
love
And that's what all artists feel like. A lot of artists feel that way. It's not, you know, they get into the industry because they love music and they have a gift and they have a passion. And all the other stuff is like, I don't
It's noise.
what does it
Yeah.
matter who I'm dating or what, you know, all these other
Yeah.
things.
Well, also too, it's like it is oddly enough like kind of a pretty bold and brave thing to say that as a celebrity because you're going to have people that go, "Oh, poor you. You're just like, making a ton of money and you're famous and who wouldn't want that?" I'm telling you right now, 95% of these people do not want that.
Mhm.
It's what comes with whatever the passion was, an actor, an athlete, a musician, whatever, yeah, it's something for
Yeah.
sure.
It doesn't seem to me like fame has anything to do with the artistry, that fame is to do with the secrecy of a person's life, which is not the art.
And that's when it feels incredibly unfair, right? Like, and again, you're talking about someone, Billie Eilish, even though she's been around now for, I don't know, a handful of years, whatever. I don't know. How old is she now, Billie?
Sure. I'm not sure.
I
20
mean, she's
something.
early 20s. So
Yes.
you're talking about someone that was out when she was 17, 18, 19 years old. Are you kidding me? Like, that is a whole lot to deal with. It's a whole lot to deal with for anybody,
Right.
but let alone growing up and being a female in it. That's a whole lot of mess that you're just like, okay, she started making music with her brother and then it hit. And now she's got to deal with all this. Oh, yeah. No thanks.
Yeah. Nicki Minaj did an interview about 3 years ago, and she said in that interview that labels care more for artist popularity than they do for talent. So, Elliot, what do you think about that? Is that true? And if so, how on earth do we navigate that?
Well, sure, because it is true, in my opinion, just because labels also have been wrong many, many times on talent. Just because they're talented does not mean it's going to work, right? And so popularity usually translates into working or at least selling records, selling tickets, merchandise, whatever. It's good for business. Popularity is good for business. Whether because as talent like is kind of it's preferential, right? I could listen to something and go, God, this is just incredible. And you go, it's just not for me. If someone's popular and someone's famous, everyone's pretty much decided this person is popular and this person's famous or this person is of note of something, right? How do we change that? Is that what you said?
How do we navigate it? Like, how do we become popular? I just feel
Well,
like it's a bit
oh
like those
Lord.
high school chicks,
Sure, sure.
popular girl.
Me and Billy talk about this a lot where it was like, we really like to believe that like eventually that's going to go away maybe and that like the cream does rise to the top and that if you do have talent and consistently do it I really do like to believe that you will have a career, in this. It's not always true, but I think also advocating for yourself is a huge thing, right? So meaning why me and Billy do VocalizeU is like we're big on artist development and also independent, right? So stop being so worried or trying to hurry the process of somebody from a label coming, signing you, then your career is just going to take off, right? Like you have to be prepared to do this yourself and start to make some noise yourself before anybody wants to get involved. A booking agent, a manager, a record label, producers, songwriters, whatever. So I think for us, it's just about always like preparing people for what's to come and the harsh reality of I know so many artists that look and go, well, this person that is a big named artist, I'm better than this person. This person doesn't even write their songs, can't really sing live, whatever, But also, it's hard to get hung up about that stuff because that's the reality, right? So my whole thing is like, well, what are you going to do? You want to stop or do you want to do like what the score is? And so for me, at least how my mind works is as long as I know what the situation is, it's a little easier to kind of deal with it and keep pushing through.
Billy, how do you define talent yourself?
I mean, there's so many layers to that question. I think for me, when I'm looking at an artist, I think what the first thing I do is, you know, if they are talented as far as like they're an amazing singer, they have a great voice, they're a great performer, they are a great songwriter. Those are the things that I kind of like look at first, obviously. And if they kind of pass that and I'm kind of intrigued at that point, like this person's really talented, whether it's vocally or, whatever, I have a process that I have to kind of go through at that point where I sit down with them and kind of go, okay, like they passed the initial test. Now it's, are they marketable? Are they crazy? Are they driven? Are they focused? Are they troublemakers? Are they all these different things that come into play that I have to kind of suss out? Because at the end of the day, it's like I think that when I'm looking to work with an artist, or even an artist is looking to work with me, there's so many questions that have to be answered. Like just like you're investing into me as a manager, I'm taking that same risk, and that same, so it's like, is it worth the time? What's the risk look like? Are you going to get a year down the line and go, I don't want to sing no more? Or, and that happens. I mean, there's been so many times where I've worked with artists that are so focused and driven, and then I don't want to sing no more. Or I don't want to, I'm going to do this kind of music and just change the whole thing up, which is fine. I mean, every artist is their own person, and they could change their career path however they want. Sometimes it just doesn't work for me and for the plans that we made as a team. So, but I think that's the first thing that I always look for is, are they a great singer? Are they a great artist? Are they an artist? Are they a great songwriter? Are they a great performer? Those are the main things, because in my mind, I go into, how would I market this if they were an artist? What are the things that I can do to make this stand out and be special, and have its own lane? I mean, there's times where I've seen artists that typically someone wouldn't look at and go, oh, they're amazing, but they might have a really quirky, weird thing to their voice where I go, I could do something with this where it would break through the norm, because it's got a little pinch of something different, and I could really exploit that into something really cool. Yeah, I'm sure it's different for everybody. I mean, I'm one person. I know that other A&Rs and other managers have different ideals, and that's what makes everything special. Because if I sign an artist to a label, I would make a completely different album than if that same artist went to another label with a different A&R person. And that's what kind of I feel like makes me unique to my ideas, and so.
Billy listed things like talent, all-round artistry, performance, how marketable somebody is, who they are as a person. Is there any one of those things that is more important than another? Like, if someone is a great performer and they can be really marketable, but they're an asshole, is that a no-go, or can you work on the personality and how they behave with others over somebody who just needs a bit more of a boost in the performance area?
Oh, that's I feel like that's a super preference. If you were to ask me, no chance. I could not work with somebody that was like that. Because again, if we're going in this together, I'd much rather bring in people to make your stuff better, that and work with somebody that is pleasant, or again, not even pleasant, but as long as we can get along well, right? That's totally fine too. Because but I'm not about to, I don't care how good you are. If I see you, if you're difficult to work with for me, or if I see you being like that with other people, like, I'm going to be super turned off to where you're not going to get a good version from me either. And so therefore it's like, it's so not worth that.
Yeah.
But that's me. I know a few managers that are like, yep, really don't care about that. Like, I don't need to have a relationship with this person, and it's going to be good business and whatever. I can't really take my emotion out of that. Like, I don't want to be that manager, me personally. And I know Billy's the same way. Like, I want to really like fall in love with whoever I'm working with too, and feel like, because then when things are not hitting the way that you want them to, it's so easy to be like, all right, you believe in me and I believe in you, and we're going to like go and we're going to figure this out and we're going to battle. If it's not working out and you can't stand the person, I'm going to be looking for every which way to like get off the freeway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So no, I cannot work with somebody that's like that. Me personally, I've already made that decision amongst myself. So it's actually not difficult for me. It just isn't for me.
Yeah, sure.
It's tough. Some of these artists are crazy.
Most of them. But again, but it's similar to finding a friend or a partner, right? Where
Yeah.
that version of crazy could work for you.
Mm.
What are the non-negotiables, right?
Yeah.
So, And as long as you throw them out there quickly, and we have to do that as managers to go, listen, I'm not this person, I'm not that person. If that seems cool for you, let's go. Let's figure this out. If
Yeah,
it is, no problem too.
it's weighing
Yeah.
it. You know, sometimes there's artists that are extremely talented that you kind of go, I have to just, we can get through this because I know that this is going to be something that you know I could take to that next level. But it's this, you know.
A shit attitude though is a shit attitude. I don't care. Like difficult to work with, like,
Right.
unorganized, tardiness, what all those things can be like, okay, come on, we're gonna get through this.
Right.
Being a rotten person and just sort of like having an attitude about everything to everybody too. I'm like, yuck. Like I can't attach myself to you either because I can't even defend you to when people go, I know. Like again, it's I have to fully, want to work with you too.
Yeah, definitely. So having that thought then, if we were to create this kind of recipe of a great artist who you would be really happy to work with, what are the ingredients and what's the dish at the end? We can throw some things in.
I think the first thing is just hardworking. I think that
There you go.
I can't want it more than you do, you know? And I think that as a manager, it's so nice because I mean Elliott and I work hard. I mean, there's you know he'll tell you there's times where I don't eat all day or I don't I may get 3 hours of sleep because it's not like a 9 to 5. I'm literally getting calls from artist clients, 11, 12 at night, 2 in the morning, 5 in the morning, and I can't, you can't turn that off. You can't say, hey,
Oh, yeah.
after hours, it's too early. I don't know. I have to, I have to, so
But we love this shit though too. That's why it's
I
important to want to work with the
we,
people you're working with because
you know,
it does make it all cool. So continue
Mm.
on.
no, I think that hardworking is the first thing. I think that, people that are focused and know what they want that goes a long way as well because yeah, I mean, doing it for so long on my end, I have ideas and have seen things that have worked and what doesn't work. But when an artist comes in with a clear cut, like I want this, I want this, I want this, that's always very, very nice because we've dealt with artists that we're going to shoot a music video. What do you have a concept for the video? And they go, I don't know. Well, you wrote the song and you know what the song is about. Like, you don't have any ideas for a treatment for the video? I don't know. But
So
okay,
some,
wardrobe. What's the wardrobe? What do you want to wear? I don't really know. You're the artist. How do you not know what you want to look like in the video? What you want to, what I'm down for whatever. I'm like, okay, I can't do this. It's like that. It
sometimes
just
they're not down for whatever too, right? So you want a clear vision, but also willing to like work, like be collaborative as well.
valuable, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because then that can get to a certain thing where you're just like, I've made these suggestions. You're working with me for a reason too. And you're not willing to sort of hear those things out and be logical, or at least go, just can you try to record this like this just once? Like you've got to, can we try? So, I mean, willing to compromise, not the integrity of what they're doing, but also when someone's so sure that it's only their way, there's a fine line for me there too.
Mm. So you've got hardworking, collaborative, have a clear vision. What else are you throwing into the mix there?
If I can see it, it doesn't have to be perfect, but if
Mm.
I can see maybe where the end of the rainbow is and how I would do this to help, that's actually all I'm looking for. It doesn't even have to be, everything can be marketable, right? Like, I don't even care if it's popular. I actually like things where I'm like, oh, I don't even know what your North Star of an artist would be, like to follow that trajectory, but you're still making this music and you still want this vision because clearly this is what you want to do. That gets me going. Like stuff that isn't really even quote unquote mainstream, but they're doing it because they really love it. And I'm like,
Mm.
there you go. Where there's no person that's proven to you that it could even work on a mass scale. So yeah, that's something too. Originality, I guess, yeah, that would probably fall under there.
When is it a good idea, Billy, for artists to start putting music out there? And is there a right time to hold it back, or should we be sharing it all of the time?
I think it's important that new artists are continually dropping or putting out music because I think you have to the biggest thing about this industry is that you have to have a story, right? I think if you're going to connect with fans and fans want to discover your music, you have to have a story that's relatable and people could look up and figure out, I like the song, what's his deal, where would he come from? If there's no story, it makes it that much harder. So I think that, in the beginning, it's very important that artists if you're creating music and you feel good about it, put it out,
Mm.
holding stuff back is only prolonging everything that, is prolonging the plan. And what are you holding on to it for? For what special moment? At what point is it like, oh, this is the perfect time? No, put it out. I mean, let the world hear what you're doing. You're going to continue to grow to grow and build the story, but you have to start somewhere. So it's always I never like people to hold on to stuff unless you have a song that is undeniable and everyone loves it. Maybe figure out the proper strategy around the release, but don't hold on
There
to
you
it.
go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like have a thoughtful release maybe behind it. But also, too, me and Billy have seen over the last 5 years songs break 2 years after them being released.
Mhm.
So
Mm.
there is no shelf life, right? So there's no concept where you should go, well, I've only got, X amount of listeners right now. I feel like this is just putting the song out and it's not going to do anything. Well, you're talking about like first week numbers or something like that. Like that matters. You know what I mean? Like what you're doing is you're never going to be wrong for putting out quality, great songs in your library or in your catalog, period. So when I stumble upon you and I go back and listen and I go, oh my, these songs are incredible. Like it doesn't matter. I'm not even going to look for when you released it. That doesn't matter at that point. It's just there for me to fall into. And I use this example all the time. It's like if I find a show on Hulu, Netflix, or whatever that I've never heard of, and it's got 4 seasons in it, and I start to enjoy it, I'm like, I'm just gonna binge. I'm like, this is incredible.
Like
If I have
Suits.
to wait, what? Like Suits?
I'm stuck on Suits right now. I'm like,
That's what everyone's stuck on that, right? It feels like it's like one of the top streaming shows. Again, it finds its time, right?
yeah.
And so for me, it's like if I watch a new show and I watch one episode and one drops every week, I'm like, I don't even know if next week I'm going to want to. It's like people's attention spans and the way they consume things now is so different as well. Stop waiting to hold on to something. Also, we don't know what's going to be a hit. Like nobody knows if it's actually going to work. So then what? So if you hold on to something and then it doesn't go well right off the bat, you're going to be like, okay, well, why did I do that? All I did was waste time. Like Billy said, you're delaying the process here. So.
Mm. And Elliot, what are your opinions on shows like The Voice and X Factor, America's Got Talent?
I think it's really cool entertainment for people. I think people enjoy watching. Again, it goes back to the stories too, right? Everyone loves like a real heartbreaking story for someone to be on there. I think that they provided a platform for exposure. Me and Billy have had friends that have gone on those shows, and some of them done really well. Some of them get booted right away. Like, and also too, I think I like them until I find out how much it affects the people that are entering them,
Mm.
like such as maybe having them question their ability based off of them not making it far on the show. And I'm like, no, they were just looking, it's a show. They're looking for something very specific. And that the box that you checked is not what they're looking for right now. Like that has nothing to do, or thinking hypothetically, you make a run on the entire show, you win the show. That doesn't mean you're going to be a success either.
Mm.
How many seasons have all of them combined had? American Idol's on this, what, 20 something season or something like that? The Voice, X Factor, whatever other ones are, the different versions of all of them too. You know what I mean? America's Got Talent, Britain's Got Talent, all these. Maybe there's been, I don't know, maybe I'm underdoing it, but maybe 5 people throughout that have actually turned into like, legitimate stars from it out of, we're talking like 40 seasons, 50 seasons. So it doesn't, I think I love it if you know what it is. Again, it goes back to me and Billy just trying to like expose people to go, just be prepared. Just know what you're getting into. You know what I mean? Because it's going to give you viewership and exposure, but also there comes some stuff through that with contracts and things like that that they have you sign as well. So just be aware and make your choice. Is it worth it to you or not?
I mean, I think that people don't understand that they don't always realize that those shows are a TV show and
Yeah.
they think that they're a platform for them to be discovered as an artist and to which ideally is what's supposed to happen.
In
But I think
theory, it is. Yeah.
but I think that the fact that it's a TV show, they focus on the TV element and the stories, and they make you fit into the story that they want, the narrative that they want. So it's not really ever about you. It's about the narrative that they want you to be on the show. So when you realize that that's the how those shows operate, you realize it's not you may not have the best shot at becoming that winner or that artist because it's all about the story and how they develop the story for each artist.
I'm just pressing the pause button on the podcast for a very brief moment to invite you to book your free BAST call. If you've been thinking about joining the BAST community through one of our courses, but you just don't know which option is the best for you, then why not book your free Zoom chat with our very own Kimberly George, who has all the answers. Head over to basttraining.com/book a call/ and click that big blue button. That's basttraining.com/book a call/. Now, where were we?
Billy, how would you like to see singing teachers working with artists that potentially would come and work with yourself, or artists who are working with you currently but are still having lessons? What's going to be really important for them in their singing teacher relationship?
I mean, Elliott and I have so many voice teachers that we deal with all over the world, and they're so important because that's the first level, the first layer of an aspiring singer. And because look at it this way, these artists that are all over the world, they don't always have access to anyone that's involved in the industry at all, right? So if they know that they have a God-given gift, I'm a singer, I want to be a singer, it's my passion, I love it, I don't even know where to go. Usually they find a local voice coach or voice teacher. And that's the first layer for them to really hone their skills and develop their talent. So it's important that, for Elliott and I to build these relationships with these voice teachers, because we need to just allow them to know how to develop them properly and how to deal with all the questions that are going to come from the artist. Like, I want to get signed to a label. I want to get signed to this. I want to do this. And so those voice teachers are there to critique their technique and their gift, right? Their tool. A lot of them don't know how the industry works. So I think it's beneficial for us to have those relationships so that we can educate them on, if they have questions about this, reach out to us. We're here to help. We want to make sure that these voice teachers don't lose any of their students because of their lack of knowing how the industry works or their relationships. I think that for us, it's like, we would love if you're doing a great job and you're coaching these kids through, developing their honing their tool and their skills. They're going to ask you questions. They're going to say, hey, how do I find a booking agent? How do I book shows? How do I do this or do that? If the voice teachers don't know, they can reach out to Elliott and I to better understand how the industry works and how to answer those questions. I mean, we have relationships with everybody, so we could always go, hey, we know someone in your area that could do A, B, and C. Tell your student they should do this first, or they should focus on this first. And that way, because sometimes these artists are very impatient, and they may feel like, I'm not getting there fast enough with this voice teacher, so I'm going to go to this voice teacher, and it becomes this very, the grass is always greener situation, and so they end up hopping around a lot. It's unfortunate for the voice teacher because they're doing a great job, but they may not know the ins and outs of the industry and how to maneuver through it. So that's what me and Elliott are here for.
Yeah. As the relationship between a student and a voice coach is a really, really special one, right? And a really intimate one, and kind of the first line of defense. And the voice teacher usually, sometimes been working with this person for a really long time, feels very protective of them, of the artist, right? And so we totally get that. And you have to wear a lot of different hats as a voice coach too, because you're like, now I'm A&Ring and I'm telling you what I think of these songs. And it's like, in reality, you were asked to just do this thing, but because also you fall in love with the student, right, and you want to help them succeed, what again we're trying to do is like just offer that community and that support of like the trusted people that just go, look, I don't know, but let me just reach out again, because it benefits the student ultimately, but it also benefits the studio to be able to have someone to call, access of going, look, they need a songwriter, they need a producer, they need a booking agent, they need whatever. And again, that sort of, that you're ultimately, you just want to help them, right? That's what me and Billy are trying to do. But if you're, not everyone is in New York or Nashville or London or LA. So they're this incredibly talented and gifted vocal coach in the middle of maybe nowhere and has no direct line into anywhere. And the last thing you want to do is suggest your student who you care for deeply and that you're very protective of to go down the wrong lane or path, because again, it's the music industry and we all know the horror stories of these people that get taken advantage of. Again, that goes back to why we're doing what we're doing. Is we definitely stand on really being an honest look and trying to build that trust amongst people to just go, look, we bring in people that all share this viewpoint and people that work in the industry, and we just want to provide some support and be a part of people's journeys ultimately.
So I am one of those singer teachers who I don't work in this particular industry at all. So if somebody came to me and that was their goal, and I reached out to you two and said, hey, what do I do here? How do I help this person get to the next level? What would be the first step for me?
We do offer this, and we're trying to expand upon visibility for that, right? Is just going, look, okay, brief us in. If we're aware of you over there and go, okay, cool. So you've got this student, this is what they need, this is where they're at. Give us an honest look at what you feel like it is that they need. And then us being able to like sort of, again, all it is we're doing is we're just trying to connect. We're trying to bridge the gap, right? And so it is easier for us, just given our years of being around it and the Rolodex that everyone develops in their own circles, to be able to go, okay, cool. Okay, you give me the details. This person is this kind of artist. This is what they need. This is okay. Let me make a call. Let's try to get you guys in contact, and also making sure that it protects a little bit of like, if we know who we're connecting them with, we can have some, I don't want to, guidance or supervision maybe, to make sure that everything's going correctly, right? And we would never, we vet the people. We know a ton of really talented people, but also only some people I would connect with, right? Because it matters. I never want someone to go, hey, you connected me to this producer and he charged me X amount of dollars for these tracks. I mean, that's something we take really, really seriously. So yeah, I don't know. I guess first step would legitimately just be reaching out, to us, to our, yeah.
It really boils down to what that specific artist needs. So if an artist came to you and said, hey, I've been with you for 6 months, my voice has improved this much, I think I'm ready to, go in the studio and maybe record some original music. What do you think? And you go, yeah, I think that you should. Well, then they go, do you know any producers or any writers that I can work with that can give me the music that I want? And you go, I'll come back to you. And then you can reach out to them and say, hey, because I think for me, as an A&R person, former A&R person, it's like, I want to know, where the artist is at, what, vocally, what they need work on, where they're excelling, and then what can I do to help them get to their goal. So it's like, if they're starting here and I know they can get to here, what are the steps that need to get done to get to that point? Do they need a new producer? Do they need a songwriter to co-write songs with? Do they need to sit down and go through a creative meeting to figure out their sound and their direction? Are they still confused about their sound and direction? All that stuff is important in the beginning to try to figure out, who that artist is and what they need to do. Are they only singing covers? Are they ready to graduate to original songs? It's all these different things that I have to kind of assess.
I think also, just to add in that really quick, is that sometimes it's also important just to be able to echo what maybe you've told them. Sometimes it's hard to hear that just from you, right? And that's just the reality, like, of them going, you know what, let me get you on a call with them because you've been saying, no, let's work a little bit more, or whatever it is, right? Like they feel like that's where it comes, where they're just like, you know what, maybe I need to find a different, but if they hear it again, hopefully from somebody that, again, works in the industry, and just, it's our opinion as well. But if you start hearing common opinions, you start having to believe in that. So I think that's a valuable thing as well.
Yeah, definitely. My husband says that to me all the time. I ask him for advice. He'll tell me something, and I'll go, nah. I'll go and ask somebody completely different. They'll say the same thing,
And
and I'll
they'll
go,
say the same thing, and he
yeah,
goes, "I told you that 6 months ago." No, it is. It's just the nature of
yeah,
us as humans, right? So yeah, I
yeah,
get that.
yeah. And Elliot, what do you think about like technology has come on so far over the years? It's quite scary. And now we're contending with AI.
Yeah.
What sort of programs should artists be looking at to kind of produce their own stuff or get their own original music going? And what do you think AI is going to do to the music industry?
Oh, I don't. I mean, I think that remains to be seen of what it would do to the industry. I think. Look, I think that I'd be lying if I said that it wouldn't be entertaining to hear a song that one of my artists wrote and hear what it would sound like if Ariana Grande sang it or
Mm,
whatever, right? Like that's entertaining and it's also just wild. Like I love technology too. So it's like as a consumer, I'm like, this is interesting. Now, do I feel for the people that again, they're concerned that there was a song that somebody wrote and produced and they made it seem like Drake and The Weeknd did it and they put it up on Spotify and YouTube and it was like millions of streams, and people are like, this is the beginning of the end. It's like, well, I don't know. Who knows? All I can say is that I do really love. There are some programs and companies that are starting this. They're like AI based production, right? I love that for artists that have this songwriting ability, but also they can't play an instrument. They don't know. So to me, it's just another tool of self-sustain to go, I want you to be able to work because I don't want any excuses from you, right? I love when technology does that because I
mm,
go, okay, so you're not a producer and you don't know where one is. Here's this site. Go make your tracks and write to it. I don't care if it's great or not. You need to be doing these things.
mm,
So on that regard, I do like it because it's going to give. I'm curious on. Listen, that breeds another version of creativity. So I think to label it all bad, I think is really incorrect because I think
mhm,
you're going to see some really amazing things as well. Of course, some people may feel, it feels improper. I think it feels wrong in some ways, but also, man, in the end, if someone creates some really amazing,
It's just part of
something
evolution.
really cool, yeah, it's like really, we have no idea yet. I think it's too soon to call.
mm,
I
That's
remember
just my,
watching this. I remember watching this thing that on TV the other day, and they were talking about this is, I mean, 50, 60 years ago, and it was like people angry in the streets about them passing the law that said that all cars have to have seatbelts.
mm,
They're like,
uh,
and they're in upper arms. This is ridiculous. Like, you can't make me wear my seatbelt. And this is, I don't know. And this seatbelt. And I'm just thinking, like, wow. I mean, like, you don't realize the things that they were angry about back then. But it's like it's everything evolves and gets better, and it's all it's all for the betterment of us. So I'm sure there's people that are up in arms about AI, but I think there'll be a lot of good that comes from it as well. So
mm,
like Elliot said, we shall see.
Yeah, we
yeah,
shall see. It's too soon to call. It's entertainment in the end. I know it's people's passion and art forms as well, but also you can't tell me that if I still enjoy whoever put in the chat, whatever that program is to, their big
yeah,
thing was also about like writing scripts, right? Is it what was it?
yeah.
Chat
Chat GPT.
GPT.
Yeah.
GPT. Yeah. And you're just like, I don't know because if I'm enjoying it in my own way, like, okay, so
Right.
maybe a real person didn't write this, but I'm still enjoying it nonetheless. And maybe it's a real person acting it or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's going to give also, to be fair, some songwriters a real opportunity. So if you're telling me that you now can pitch a song to the artist that you're pitching it to, having their voice being already on it, that's an intriguing thing to me
Absolutely.
already.
Mm.
Absolutely.
Creepy, yeah, maybe, but also kind of wild to where you just go, okay, so you're telling me this person's going to be able to hear it like they were kind of going to sing it. It could get some people some jobs, some writing credits for
I
sure.
love
Mm.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it.
I'm scared of it. I'm just a big old scaredy cat over here. I mean, I'm very much, I would rather we sent things by pigeon. I like pen and paper.
Sure. Sure.
That's just
Well,
me.
it's going to be a real frustrating time moving forward, I think, for you then, because I think
Definitely.
we've distinguished the pigeons are done. I think that form, but who knows? Maybe that will come full circle. Who
Yeah.
knows?
Speaking of pigeons and evolution, Billy, how do we
Segue.
allow, yeah, good segue. How do we help our students, our artists, to be a flamingo in a flock of pigeons? And what are they going to be contending with nowadays that they weren't years ago?
I think there's a process there. There's a kid that Elliott and I met at camp this past year that came in, was really shy, really talented kid, really shy, really unsure of himself, never really performed in front of people, and but had a really amazing tone and a really great voice, and the sweetest kid you'll ever meet in your whole life. Like this kid, Roby. And so throughout the week, we created this space for him where he just felt safe and supported. And at camp, that's the great thing about camp, is that everyone that's there, all the kids that come from all over the world, everyone is so loving and supportive and encouraging, because that's the environment that we create up there. And so by day 3, he just felt so safe, and he performed and everyone loved him, and it was just great. So, since camp was over, he's been really not battling, but he's been getting used to being at home in his home environment and still having that same confidence. And so Elliott and I talked to him probably every day. At some point, he texts me every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he texted me this morning, and he was just saying that I feel so amazing. I just feel like I'm finally getting through all of this sense of being scared and having the confidence to perform. And so I'm reading this text. I'm going, it's taken it, a little bit of time, but he's breaking these walls down. It's not easy, but I think that's it's a process, and that's part of what we do at camp. But it's hard to get these kids have to feel the love and the confidence and kind of bask in that for a while before they can finally kind of go other places and kind of go, this is who I am all the time, not just in this environment. So I think that's it's a process. That's the first answer. The second one was, what was the second question?
What are artists going to be contending with now that they weren't contending with years ago?
Social media. And I think that we live in a time now where everyone has an opinion, and everybody has a TikTok account or an Instagram account or an X account so it's like, if you were insecure about your music before and you share it to the world, you have even more reason to be more insecure about it, because you're going to get people that are going to be trolls and just come at you. And it doesn't matter what you do. There's people that are just out there just to tear you down. They have their page on private. You'll never know who they are. They don't even have the balls to show their face and be a real person. They hide behind, but that's the world we live in. So you have to be. And it's great because we have a mental performance coach at camp named Ayana Celia, who's incredible. But she helps you to really gain that confidence to not let that outside noise affect who you are mentally. And it's a huge thing. It's not easy. There's times where I look at it, I'm like, turn my phone off. I don't want to see it, But it's challenging. But that's part of being an artist in 2023, 2024, 2025, and beyond.
Yeah.
And it's with that being said, it's like, again, it's just knowing the monster that it is, and also knowing that you do have more opportunity now to break in than we ever had before. It was only at one point in time, it was like 4 or 5 major labels. That's it. The term independent artist just means you didn't get signed yet and you were probably broke, right? So that means you couldn't say that was who you are for your career. So now, like it or not, again, I just will continue to repeat. It's like, I would much rather just know what to expect and what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
Because it can be super helpful when you do run into these walls and you do run into these things, go, aha, okay. I at least know, I knew probably it was coming. I didn't know when. And I can have some tools to be able to kind of like work through it or around it.
Elliot, if you weren't involved in the music industry at all, what career do you think that you would like?
You know what? I think that I grew up playing sports, so at one point in time, it was like that's what I had a love to do, and you know, and then I think I got to a place now. I'm really lucky to have my wife, my two kids, where if I didn't have a love for this, I actually would be fine doing whatever was asked of me if it could provide the life that I want to live with them. That
Mm.
may be not an interesting answer, but it's like I feel like I'm totally fine with like I know how gratifying this is. I don't have a backup thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have anything else that I love other than them. So it's like I think I'd be fine working in a cubicle if it provided me the opportunity to like, us to live how we're living.
Yeah. Oh,
So
aren't you a lovely husband and father?
no, I think it's just I think I'm just sort of one facet. I'm boring, right? So it's like I don't care about
I
anything
don't
else. I
know.
don't give a shit about anything else. This has turned into more than I could have ever thought. But also I did think this too. Like I have grand aspirations. So
Mm.
I'd be lying if I said that I didn't believe that, I could provide some sort of thing, but also I don't know. I'm not good at much else. So it's like I'm fine with doing normal shit if yeah.
How about you, Billy?
He's an amazing friend also.
Oh, look at all the compliments coming your way, Elliot.
I know I love it. Billy always
Elliot,
has compliments though. He's
Elliott's the
really
best. I
yeah.
love Elliott. I'll shadow from mountaintops. If I wasn't doing music, I mean, it's kind of the same answer. I never had a plan B. The fortunate thing is that there's so many things that you can be doing in the entertainment industry. Like I don't have to be a manager. I could be an agent or there's literally so many jobs
Under
that I
the
can.
umbrella.
Yeah, I mean, there's so I would still be in entertainment. It just would probably just be a different side of it. I mean, my history has always been wearing multiple hats. So I mean, I've done A&R, I've done publishing, I've done management, road management. I mean, I've worn so many different hats over the years. So I love all of it. I think that,
Mm.
as long as I'm involved in the entertainment industry and working with talent,
But what if you couldn't?
I don't want to be here no more.
Yeah. No, I feel like I don't know.
Leave me
Part of me
home. I'm ready to come home.
part of me feels like was the answer should have been like, I don't know, like garbage, something completely different. Like what have been some good answers that you've gotten? Have you asked that question?
No,
Is that what
I've never asked it before,
Yeah.
but yeah, maybe I won't
yeah.
ask it again.
I think
That's
you
funny.
should because it is interesting. Because yeah.
I'm a very creative person. If I wasn't doing music, I'd probably be doing some kind of, I don't know, like I love designing shit and like like people come to my house and they go, "This is great. Who designed this?" I'm like, "Me." Well, when I do this myself.
Maybe there you go. Maybe that's what
Yeah.
it would be. A little
But like I
interior
get that from my
design.
mom. My mom is like the most amazing creative person. My mom is insane. She doesn't do it as a job, but she like bakes. So when you go to like restaurants and they have those elaborate cakes and you're just like, oh my God,
Hmm.
this cake. She does that stuff. And like Halloween costumes, she'll like come in like this most amazing movie scene. And you're like, who,
Uh,
who? And she does everything herself. She'll be cutting and sewing, and I'm like, my mom's amazing with that stuff, and I think that I get that creative side from her. But yeah,
Mm. So an interior designer,
something
potentially.
like
you
that.
figured it
Something.
out.
I mean, some of the stuff that I had in my house, I painted myself. I mean, like I have like the little penguin that I like, very artsy,
Very
and I don't know.
crafty. Billy is very
Yeah.
crafty.
But yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know.
I love that. So if we are working with a singer who really wants to go into the music industry, but they're kind of just showing signs of, and I don't know how to put this kindly, but delusion. They don't really
Ulysses
have,
are granted. Hmm.
yeah, they don't really have the skills that you would
Uh,
need, even though we're enjoying singing together. Like, how can we compassionately help them see the light without stripping away their love for singing? Because it's still important. They're still human. They still have the right to sing.
yeah.
This is where I'm at with this, right? Because with Spotify and all the DSPs, everything is about playlisting, right? And so artists are being discovered through playlists. And with that being said, a lot of artists that normally wouldn't get commercial success are finding audiences, and you know, and it might not be a big career where they're making a lot of money, but they're finding an audience. And I think that like no matter what kind of music you're doing or trying to do, there's an audience for everyone. So I think if I had an artist that I felt like didn't have what it takes to be a commercial artist, then I would discuss with them, you know, trying to do something that's a little bit more camp and in their own kind of niche, right? Because I think that, you know, there's a lot of artists that don't have amazing voices or that aren't amazing singers that find a way to become successful because they did something very kind of gimmicky or very novelty. And there's success around that. And all you need is one record, all you need is one song to go, and then you can tour it for the rest of your life on that one song. I mean, obviously within reason, but if there's a way to make it work with what they have, I will always try to find that way.
I don't know if I would ever discourage someone, especially if I felt like you said, they were just enjoying it. They're kind of like, shit, everyone should be so lucky to have something that they do that they enjoy. You know what I mean? Like, and it, like Billy said, weirder stuff has happened. I don't know. I mean, obviously, if they're dreadful, why you would even discourage them is so they don't waste time and money, right? To do something and oh my God, you really need to be focusing on something else as well. I think there is maybe a way to explain of like, just make sure you're doing, what else are you going to do? Like, because everyone does multiple things. I had a regular job way after I started seeing success with the first artist that I was managing, a normal job. So that I would go and we'd have these huge shows and the next day I'd go to work. Like it was like, so everyone does multiple things and has to, especially this day and age. So I think that I would continue to just have them focus on other stuff as well. But again, if they enjoy it, I think that's so cool and that's so awesome. Like, because it is so difficult to continue to do something like this if you really aren't that good. You know what I mean? Like that takes more, like you said, yeah, delusion. You could be insane. You could just have the confidence, the balls, whatever you want to say. It's like, but I applaud that for the most part.
We can't not talk about VocalizeU because you have got some cool events coming up that we absolutely must chat about before we let you go. But for anybody who hasn't heard of VocalizeU before, Billy, can you just explain what it is and why it was set up?
It's so Dave Stroud is a vocal coach who's an incredible, started this camp about 25 years ago. It was started off as a singing camp for singers and vocalists. And then about 15 years ago, he brought in Elliott and myself, just in different capacities to help out with the camp.
I was moving keyboards at that time. I was not even involved in the music industry. So Billy was already Billy and he was at the top of the mountain. So he won't say that, but yes.
Look at you two. You've got such a bromance.
Hell yeah. That's my man right there. Yeah, yeah.
Love each other.
I feel like I'm third wheeling here.
Not at all.
Everyone feels like that though.
Everybody feels that way though. So we came on board and we helped kind of navigate where the camp, we thought where the camp should go, just because we're both, we're seeing how the climate in the industry was changing. And so, eventually Dave brought us in as partners, equal partners, and then eventually he passed the baton to Elliott and I. So now Elliott and I own it. But it's great because we have a vision of where we want this camp to go. But it's basically a 10-day artist intensive where artists, singers, songwriters, producers, anyone that wants to be involved in the music industry and the business side of it, a manager or a publisher, can come. It's a very intense 10 days of curriculum. We bring in teachers that, their expertise are all these different fields, and they basically, will explain to you the climate of the industry, where it's at currently, where, how to get your music heard. If you're an independent artist, one of the best ways to get your stuff created, heard, without having to rely on a label. I think a lot of times artists are very, like I said earlier, they're very like, I want to get signed to a major label. I want to do this, do that. That's not the best. That's not the best use of your talent. I think you need to build it, and we show you how to kind of build it on your own. It's very, do it yourself approach. I always get tongue tied when I try to say that. But, we also bring in mentors. Every year we bring in, Grammy Award-winning songwriters and Grammy Award-winning producers and artists. Some of your favorite artists come up to camp and they mentor these students with us because they are speaking from their experiences as an artist and the challenges that they've had. the hurdles that they've had to get over, and it's very relatable. So we create this very amazing, safe environment for kids to come
People of
and
all ages, really. I mean, it's artists in general.
artists as young as 10, 11, all the way up to 45, 50. So there's a broad range of artists that come to camp.
It's songwriting classes, it's performing classes, it's branding classes, it's production classes. We do have a musical theater track as well. Like, we do feel like we try to cut the pieces of the pie of what it would take to be, an artist in today's world, right? And the teachers that we bring in to teach about this, it's not like overview of stuff. We're really workshopping the stuff that you have, because you don't get access to the people that we bring in there to teach or mentor. You don't get access to those people, especially in this way. So you really get a chance to hear an honest opinion about what your stuff is, an honest look about where the industry is going and what's going on. Because again, being an artist can be incredibly isolating, right? So for me, it's like, imagine coming in. I'm so sorry, my dog is in the background. Imagine if we see people come there and immediately feel like, oh my God, these are my people, they get it. Because my friends aren't trying to be musicians, they don't get it. My family aren't in the industry, anything like that. So to build your community is really, really crucial, because also they get it. You're all there and you're all kind of comparing yourselves at first too, but I think we set a tone of where it's like, oh, it's totally not about that either. We have people that have had a record deal, that have gotten dropped, have done tours, people that are super green, so super raw, where it's just talent or passion or all the above. And again, we're trying to put tools in the tool belt. That's all that we're trying to do. We're trying to give you these light bulb moments where you leave there and you have contact with us throughout the year, and we're able to kind of get updates. We're doing these updates, a couple times a week with these people that have been there at camp, and going, okay, so tell me where you're at. What are you working on right now? The goals that we had you set at camp, what's going on? Because it's super easy when you're there in this bubble where you get to be super selfish, and from sun up to sundown, you get to focus on your stuff. When you get home and you have family, work, and school, or whatever it is that you're doing, it's hard to continue to stay motivated outside of that bubble when there's not a million people around you in that environment. So again, it's important to try to go, okay, so what are we working on here? What are the obstacles? When someone tells me an obstacle, it's our job to kind of pop that balloon and go, it's actually not that at all. It's not that obstacle, right? And again, we're trying to dispel these rumors or these false thoughts where, again, I need a label, I need a manager, I need an art. Okay, so if someone comes and goes, I need a manager, I'm like, to manage what? You don't have anything yet. Start working on these things again. But if people don't know what they don't know. It's our job to try to give them an honest opinion about that and go, aha, okay. I think I understand where I'm supposed to go now, and propel for the next, little bit.
And you quite clearly are the people to know. So can you tell us, I know it's early days, but what's lined up for VocalizeU 2024 already?
I mean, another great year. I think, as Billy said, the curriculum can alter and change each year a little bit. We're always trying to tighten it up. And also sometimes that's figuring out, as these people are signing up to attend, to go, what do they need? Right? We're not doing fluff stuff. We, at one point in time, there was classes that I feel like me and Billy can look at the end and go, okay, this wasn't as helpful. This wasn't as productive. Right? So we're really trying to, again, to bring in the people that we've all, me and Billy have met throughout the years, that are kind enough to donate their time to come there and speak to people. And not just it's not just talking about their career. It's literally they hang out after their lecture, and people are able to ask them a million questions, and then they're in contact. That's unbelievable. There's no space that is like that. It's not about seeing a celebrity or seeing a famous person that wrote this thing. It's legitimately having conversations with them and trying to get them to be able to give them, their insight into some critiques here. Because that's the only way we're all learning, right? And I think sometimes even if one person in the class is getting their stuff worked on, everyone's benefiting from that. So I think it's it's the longest running, music camp in LA, and we try to change it up each and every year to make sure that it's benefiting as many people as possible. And yeah, each year it's incredible, and it's incredible for me and Billy too, because it kind of, even being in this industry is a beatdown, right? And so I think being around that hunger from all these people that are still like really trying to climb that mountain, it recharges us for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine that's quite an inspiring place to be.
Oh my
But
God. Yeah. It's super emotional too. Like, oddly enough, like it's a real, like, seeing these people have these moments right in front of you. And I don't think in that short period of time that maybe a lot can get accomplished. And you see these people come out of their shells and have this like aha moment, or this total, they were so reluctant and they jump. It's like a really, yeah, it's incredible to see. And now we see them onwards and upwards, and it's like some of them are out touring and they are having this crazy success, and it's just so amazing to be able to feel like, oh yeah, you came here and you were, again, but you took the initiative to come. You wanted to get back,
yeah.
and that gets rewarded most of the time.
And Billy, would singing teachers also benefit from being a part of this?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that, like I said before, it's very important to just understand as much as you can just the business side of it, because it allows the singing teachers to help their students so much better and just be such a more resourceful, well-rounded. And because, like I said, like Elliott said earlier, the voice teachers are like a therapist, you know?
Yeah.
And everything the artist or the singer has questions about, they're gonna go to you because you have that bond and that trust. So it's just a matter of being able to have some additional answers based on the industry and the trends and how things are changing in the industry and what's working, what's not working, all that kind of stuff. So
We want to send them back to you better than when they left, and also re-energized and remotivated and everything, because then you're going to get a better version of them.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, you have been so very kind to us because you have offered us a banger of a discount for the VocalizeU 2024 tickets. So, listeners, you can get a whopping $850 off of your ticket using the codes Holiday500 and BAST350. And we'll put all the links and codes in the show notes so you can head on over there immediately and book your plays. Elliott and Big Billy Clark, thank you so much for joining me today, and good luck for everything in this.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.